Me and contenders ain't got no relation. So what you in if ain't no reparation? How much you spending on your preparation? I'm about them binges so to win and be the motivation. Determination is intention plus the willpower. Real power, pressure you should feel. Ours, bills tower. Over us, I overcome, I'm overcomes. I need direct transactions. Don't wanna wait till you load the funds. You hold the funds and Joseph come promote the clerk, demote your son. I overthrow the CEO, I'm taking over some. The chosen one, you throw me one, you owe me two. You holding one, I'm holding you accountable. Act like you owe me one. Look, every lesson learned is a lesson taught. Every blessing earned is a blessing caught. Promise I'm meek and humble and grateful for every bit. The head is heavy, so your crime must have a heavy fit. The Big Dog Chico Show. That sports talk. Sco Bug. Joe Flo.
Testing 1 2 testing 1 2 testing 1 2. I know the intro said the Big Dog Chico Show, but you're now live and in effect with Buff 'em updates once again. And it's gonna be myself, the host, of course, and my co-host, of course, Adam Mustard Tiger, checking in from 247 Sports, live and direct. Let's bring Adam on right now since he's here. Yes, indeed. Adam, what's up? What's shaking? How you doing, Adam?
Hey Chico, how do I sound on your end? I'm trying to figure out the audio on my end. Can you hear me?
Okay, we good to go right now. You sound good to me. Let us know in the
awesome.
chat out there how Adam sound, how I sound in the chat. Are we too loud? Do we need to come down a little bit? Let us know. We want the experience to be nice for everybody out there as we bring you guys some more highlights and insights and updates and everything of that nature for the Colorado Buffaloes and everything around the program with Coach Prime and things of that nature. We're on a bye week right now after a big win last week once again over Cincinnati after beating Arizona. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk to Adam, and because Adam is always in the pressers, of course, he's a part of the local media that is covering the Buffs for the last, 15 or 20 years, Adam?
21
years.
Since 2003. Yeah, it's been a while.
This is your prime year right here. Year 21. So Adam has some great insights. So once again, if you guys are part of this show, been watching, y'all know what we do, man. We're going to have some good candid conversation, and we will take some questions from the chat. As long as you guys are here, we will be answering those questions. First, I got a question for you, Adam. Other than how you been, and happy Halloween too. Dang, did you go trick-or-treating today?
No, we're still at 4:00 out here. So after I get off with you, I'm thinking that we're going to have some kids stopping by to stop by. But yeah, our kids are all in the teenage phase where they've got their friends to go out with on Halloween.
Gotcha.
We get to usher in this old person way to handle Halloween, where you get the big bowl. And I'll be honest with you though, I know on Twitter we get a question about Halloween candy. In terms of what is our favorites. And I went to the grocery store yesterday. I got Reese's Twix. I got white chocolate Kit Kats. I got a couple other things, Snickers. And my kids, my daughter, when I asked her how I did, she kind of looked at me sideways and said that that's not what kids like anymore. They don't like chocolate. I'm like, well, what's happening to the youth of America, Chico? They don't like chocolate?
Like chocolate? What? I'm getting the bag with all chocolate in there.
Yeah,
that's the one I want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day. I was like, I better grab one now because last year I think I went to Walmart and everything was gone. Like on the day of, I'm like, "Dad, what are they doing with this candy?" So maybe the prices drop on the same day or something like that. And so I got to go re-up and stock up myself.
I did sneak a few for myself here, though, just in case I needed Sugar Rush in the show.
I'm 4 hours behind you, so I got a little bit of time to still go by Walmart and take the kids out for Halloween and get some candy and trick or treating and stuff like that. So, but it's a bye week for the Buffs, man. So a little bit of downtime, perfect time though, because it's Halloween and people can be with their families, coaches can go back and get with their families. Same way with the players, but very high spirits now going into this bye week and holiday season as we are approaching 6-2 Buffs, bowl eligible, ranked number 23. Did you foresee this, being one of the guys that's been covering them forever?
Well, I had higher expectations, obviously, than the national folks. I had them going 8-4 before the season kicked off, and I would say that it's gone about as well as I expected. Maybe a tick better, just in terms of them being able to get the ground game going here the last couple of weeks. And Robert Livingston and what he's done defensively has, as much as I thought that was a good hire and a good risk, that was going to pay off for them. I don't think you could have necessarily foreseen them to be this, salty of a defensive group, and that's been really fun to watch. And it really has been a collective in terms of getting better, just in terms of overall consistency. But there's another level they can take this to, Chico, and that's the fun thing, right? Is it's not like the last 2 weeks they played perfect football to be able to win by a larger margin, by a double-digit margin against Big 12 opponents. There's still some things they can get better at, and that's what makes you, I think, excited about these last 4 weeks. And it's, I think, nice to get that bowl eligibility goal accomplished and then kind of reset coming into the month of November, because you've got that in the back pocket now, but there's a whole lot more that this team can accomplish.
I agree with you, and I think that's the mindset now. Is we accomplished that first goal, or first I guess reach that if you climbing up a ladder, we've accomplished that first stop right there. Now we got to reach further than that and see how far we can really go now and make this thing something special, because a 10-2 record is a lot better than anything else that you can foresee, whether it's 9-3 or whatever. 10-2 sounds a lot better, looks a lot better, and could possibly put us in a position to where that college football playoff may come calling, but there's an outside chance of that. But it could be looked at as being a long shot, because you have 3 teams that's kind of in the way of getting to that Big 12 championship. How do you think that can play out in favor for the Buffs?
Well, you've got Iowa State and Kansas State that play each other, and as a Colorado fan, you certainly wish that BYU had some competition on their schedule. They've got a pretty easy path to that Big 12 championship game, even if they lose a game. They beat Kansas State, so they've got the tiebreaker there. All season, Chico, I keep waiting for BYU to come back to earth, and they did their, in a couple games in terms of it being closer than we expected going in. But they're 8-0. You got to give them credit for that, right? So even though I don't think that is as good as your average 8-0 team, I was saying this yesterday with some guys that I wish BYU was on Colorado's schedule. I think that would be a good test for the Buffs, and I think they would win that football game, and that would make an easier path into that championship game. But the schedule makers don't have them on there, so you got to look for some luck, I guess, in that sense. But if you go 10-2, you take care of business. I guess you can't really worry too much about that stuff, and that becomes an interesting debate. If Colorado somehow goes 10-2 and they're not in the Big 12 championship game, do they still possibly get in the playoffs?
Yes.
Does a losing team of that conference game not get that invite in Colorado instead? Because that college football wants the Buffs in there if they're 10-2. And so I know there's a committee that's going to decide that, but I just have a hard time believing that Colorado could finish 10-2 and somehow be left out. I think they're going to find a way to get them in if that's the case, but that's for us to discuss. Obviously, you hope the players are kind of locked in on getting right during this bye week and then coming back. And then I know it's that cliche, one game at a time, but they really do need to focus in on that, because if they play the way they did in the previous 2 games, these final 4 games, they're going to be 10-2. So you just have to be able to, stay locked in and focused, and we'll see how it shakes out. And maybe we've seen some crazy upsets in the Big 12 this year, and maybe that kind of clears the path for Colorado going down the stretch to get in the Big 12 championship game. I certainly, you mentioned it's my prime year covering the Buffs. I sure would enjoy covering a conference championship game.
Yes, conference championship game, conference college football playoff would be nice. Let's look at this right here. I was able to find this. This is like a projected college football playoffs right here. College football playoff picture. Here's what the 12-team bracket looks like after week 9 as of right now. And of course, you got Oregon there at number 1, Georgia number 2, 3 Miami, 4 BYU, 5 Penn State, 6 Ohio State, 7 Texas. Where is 8? 8 Tennessee, 9 Notre Dame, 10 Texas A&M, 11 Clemson, 12 Boise State. You know, where's that end going to be? Goodness gracious, we need some teams to fall off. You know, I projected before the season started that we're going to see some teams at the top of these rankings have 1 or 2 losses. And, you know, we need that to really start to happen this week coming up to open up some room for the Buffs to get into that thing. Because I really think from here on out, we're going to take care of business and play the type of football that we've been playing the last 2 to 3 games. I think that's going to be our MO. That's what this team and coaching staff are expecting to play like. And I think that's what the mindset of the team is. After being at the Arizona game and watching just how their demeanor was before the game, pre-game, warming up, walking out, stretching, running out onto the field, I felt a different sense of confidence with this ball club, and they were expecting to go in there and beat Arizona, in which they did. Same thing for that home game. So I think that's the mentality they're coming in with, and it's going to lead to victories from here on out. Not an easy schedule, but a very winnable schedule from here on out.
Yeah, no question. I'm glad you mentioned that Arizona game. Wasn't that like the perfect Saturday afternoon for Colorado football out there in Tucson?
Right. You know, how did it be 73 degrees as far as a high go? I think the high was 73 and it dropped down to like 65 or so. In Arizona, I was expecting it to be super hot. I saw the prediction before. I was like, it can't be. You know, their 73 probably feels like 93. So I really didn't pack heavy, and I really felt that 73 in that nice, cool weather.
Mother Nature saw me sweating bullets down in Central Florida, and they decided to give me a break. So I'll take the credit for that.
Right. That desert heat is something different too, man. Because last year at Arizona State, whew,
see, in Hawaii, what would you compare the humidity to, like the South?
Whew. I probably, there's no comparison. I don't think the South is a different type of heat. I would say you walk outside and you start sweating. Sometimes it's like that here, but most of the time it's like now is a breeze. You can't tell right now, but I'm actually sitting outside recording this, and there's a nice breeze going. I turn my fan off, and I'm just sitting outside in midday recording this. I have a little bit of a shade, but you know, overall, it's no comparison to me because you always have that breeze coming off the ocean, it feels like. So it's just a difference, you know.
Yeah. I had never experienced anything like. I'd been out to Atlanta in the summer in sweat, no question, but that UCF game was just a different animal. And yeah.
It's like the sun be leaning on your shoulder, man, down there in the South. It's a different thing. But yeah, we're coming into a little bit of a cool season right now, and I'm looking to. Do you think there's going to be some snow games this year in Colorado? You got 2 left: Utah and Oregon State, Oklahoma State coming into town. That's Thanksgiving weekend. How do you think the weather's going to hold up? Will we see some snow this year or what?
It's possible. I'll be honest though. I think I could count on one hand the number of like snow games that I've covered at Colorado. Usually our snow season here really comes in the spring, where we get a ton that gets dumped down in March and even into April. You will get snow randomly, even in November sometimes, in December, January, February. But We just have not had a ton of that in November with Colorado home games. We've actually had, I think, more snow at spring games than we have actually during, the regular season.
So I hope you guys hear that out there. Any recruits listening, anybody, parents listening, y'all think, oh, my baby can't go up there. It's too cold. It's snow. We haven't seen any snow yet. The snow is when the kids are not really playing football or, like you said, in the spring, but we're indoors a lot. They're indoors a lot practicing and stuff. So it's really not that much of a problem. You're going to have some snow season, but it's not that much of a problem like a lot of people think. It's not Wisconsin, and it's a different type.
Going back to humidity, even when it's snowing or cooler here, it's not that humid. You don't feel it in the air the same way you do. Like,
right.
I've gone down to the South in the winter, and even that is a different extreme. So,
yeah,
I think that is one of the misnomers of Colorado. And I think people started to realize that, and they all started moving here about 15, 20 years ago. And so there was a big influx in the population, and a lot of people that have been around that are natives don't really like it because they feel like their towns changed over time. But I came here in 2003, so I guess I'm one of those people that was part of the problem. I remember thinking that I need 10 jackets and this and that, and you need a couple, but it really is not as cold as most people think.
Nice. Shouts out to everybody in the chat right now. Dennis said they would get a nice bowl. Honestly, that's a nice win for the year. Just imagine what CU football would be today without Coach Prime. Kind of reflect on that. What do you think about that statement right there, Adam? Because like you said, 21 years you've been around there. You came 2003. How do you feel about that statement right there from Dennis?
Just bowl game being part of a topic and not chasing it is a great feeling for those that have been around a long time, because Colorado's had a lot of 5-win seasons and just not able to get that extra win to get in there. Now, the last 2 bowl games have been at the Alamo Bowl, and that is a pretty prestigious game. And it's kind of a cool setup. It's right there along the river walk. The stadium's not too far from there, so you can stay in the hotel. And kind of last time I didn't even rent a car, and I just basically walked from my hotel to press conferences, walked to the stadium, and it was kind of a nice deal. And you'd run into CU fans everywhere. It was kind of fun. But since Colorado's been there twice now, I've seen now that Colorado's gotten bowl eligible. A lot of chatter folks maybe think that Holiday Bowl would be a possibility in San Diego. That would be pretty fun.
That'd be nice for me, but
yeah.
That's the easy flight for me. I'll take that all day. I was just thinking in my head what would be best bowl, and you just reel it off right there for me. So yeah. Other than go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just was going to say that they didn't win those bowl games, and they didn't win the one prior to that. So it's really been a long time. I think 04 or 05, the Inside.com Bowl down in Texas was the last one they won. So getting to a bowl game is great. Winning it would be even better, I think, just for the momentum of this program going into the offseason. That there's going to have to be somewhat of a roster rebuild with Shedeur and Travis and a bunch of other guys we can list off that are going to exhaust their eligibility this year. But just to have this discussion with 4 games left is pretty cool.
Let me ask you this. I just thought about this question. I think this is a good question right here. And I want anybody listening in, whether you're listening live or on a later taping or recording or replay of this show, answer this question right here. Would you rather, for the betterment of the program, do you think it'll be better if the Buffs got into the playoffs or a very, high bowl game against a big time team and got the exposure but lost? Or would you rather see them play in the bowl like the Snoop Dogg Bowl in Arizona or the San Diego Bowl, whatever it is, and win at the end of the season? Which one would you rather see? A bigger bowl and a loss, or a nice moderate bowl and a win? What would you rather see? Which do you think would be better for the program?
That would be kind of a hindsight deal, right? Because if you accept an invitation, you don't know if you're going to win or lose either of those 2 games. So you got to take the chance in the playoff. Now, if you laid out that scenario and told me you're going to be covering a winning bowl game versus a losing college football playoff game, then you want to cover a win. But the aspirations of this program, I guess, to answer the question, has to be one of those 12 teams, and then you see how things shake out. Because you like where this program's trending, and if they do win 10 games, then they're going to be riding quite a winning streak going into that. But yeah, I want to.
I think that's a legitimate question, though. Said that's a diabolical choice, Chico. I think it's a legitimate question because couldn't it happen? Couldn't that, hypothetically, couldn't that happen though? Just think about it. Realistically, actually, couldn't that happen if they went out and you have two teams ahead of you that played in the Big 12 championship, the college football playoffs or whoever it is, they feel like, three teams from the Big 12 shouldn't get in. And maybe Colorado's left on the outside looking in, or they have a choice or somehow, but the point is it can happen, right? To where they can get into the college football playoffs versus a big team, or they can have a chance to go to a smaller bowl game. I'm just saying, what at the end of the day, with a win or a loss or whatever it is, I hope they win out. What would be the best situation for them and for the program moving forward? I'm not sure myself. I think it's a tough question. I just thought about it when you were speaking, so it's nothing like premeditated. I'm trying to put out there. I just thought about it.
Well, I picked Colorado to lose going down to UCF, and I still haven't heard the end of it. So you're not getting me on the record talking about a Colorado loss.
That's a smart man right there.
I'm so happy too, because I get to predict Colorado to win these last 4 games, because that's genuinely how I feel.
Right. Yeah, because all right. So they're going into Texas Tech down in Lubbock. It's gonna be some good football down there, but they're not in the best situation right now. But they're still being Texas Tech. At the end of the day, how do you think this game is going to play out? Do you think the Buffs? I guess you're going to pick them to win now. So, how do you look at this game, and how you break down this game? They're unranked. What is their record? I don't have their record right in front of me.
They're what are they? 5-3. 5-3. Yeah.
5-3.
Lost the last 2 against Baylor and at TCU, and they've got at Iowa State this weekend. So they could be limping into that game at home against the Buffs. We'll see how they do against Iowa State. That's an interesting deal there too, Chico's, because if you're a Colorado fan, you got to be cheering for Texas Tech on Saturday.
Right. That's what Brian and I was talking about. Like, it's going to be kind of funny because right now you should be cheering for Texas Tech to beat Iowa State, but then, we have to come back and play them the next week, and they should be kind of, motivated off of that win of beating Iowa State. But we could also look at it and say, okay, they helped us out, but now they should also have a few bumps and bruises after playing a team like Iowa State when they come in to play us. So we'll see how it plays out, though.
Yeah, this could be a game where Shedeur and this offense feast. There have been moments this season where Texas Tech defense has shown to be very vulnerable. I mean, they gave up 59 points to Baylor. They gave up 51 points to Abilene Christian in their opener. They've won some shootouts, but they've been giving up a ton of points. This could be a game where everybody gets to feast offensively for them.
Now, if I think about this every game, it's going to be hard for any team to match up with CU and those wide receivers. We've been saying this all year, but now the running game is getting going. You got Isaiah Augusta rushing for nearly 100 yards last week, 91. Overall, the team over 100 yards the last couple of weeks. That's I think been proven to be very important, very vital for this offense, and the way that the mentality of them and the way they can mix things up now and not have to so much rely on the passing game. Now you have that running game and kind of like I would say a reliable back in Isaiah Augusta, who Coach Prime is confident in. I think he has solidified that starting spot. How important has that run game been, and can they keep it going versus Texas Tech?
It's huge. I actually, looking at the box score after their last game, this was a situation where I thought stats lied a little bit. You looked at Colorado's adjusted rushing average in that football game, even with sack yards taken out. It was only 3.4 yards per carry. But if you watch that game without, the box score in front of you, you would have said that the running game was vital for them, being able to open things up offensively. And so just as I was telling Brian the other day after practice, that just being in that 100+ range, rushing the ball, you don't need to do anything special there. Be able to convert. And that was a big part of that, right? Was that Augusta was able to move the chains consistently,
right?
Had a rushing touchdown in there as well. And so that's the key. I loved when Pat Shurmur came out after they had negative 29 rushing yards, that with sack yardage included, obviously, following their last loss against Kansas State. And it was kind of this enough is enough mentality. And you've really seen kind of the team buy into that. And you've seen this offensive line gain confidence as a result of this. And so that it's just offensive linemen like to get downhill a little bit, and it kind of builds their confidence, makes them feel a little bit better than when they're in pass protection. And, that you've definitely seen that be the case. And it was great to see Isaiah Augusta just get 22 carries in a football game, because it's backs sometimes need kind of to get in a rhythm and to knock some heads and be physical. And you see defenses start to wear down over time when you've got a physical back like Augusta. So he's definitely been a big part of what they've done in terms of being more consistent here recently.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, a big back like him, defense is not going to continue to want to hit him. Everybody's human out there too, and you hitting a big 6'1", 200-pound back, and it's not going to be fun, especially if the team is committed to running the football as Coach Pat Shurmur and Coach Prime was this past week. I like how they just continue to just give it to him. Some games are going to be minimal, like we saw, but in crucial times, those short yardage, he's going to convert those. He's going to fall. That's what I like about him also. He falls forward most of the time. The offensive line kept pushing, even though the running back was ahead of the line. They would still push him forward. If you don't hear the whistle, you got to keep going. And that's what I like about this offensive line. Get nasty, and that's what you could do in the run game. And they've adopted the identity of Coach Phil Lodeholt, who is just no nonsense, dog. I like that about him. Shout out to that defensive line, too, really getting after the quarterback. Cameron Silman Craig getting the sack coming off the end. I love how Coach Rob Livingston blitzes his safeties and uses them in multiple different situations all the time, whether it's Stockmeyer, Shiloh, or Silman Craig. I love the scheme that we have on the defensive side also.
It seems like everybody kind of just knows their role a little bit better on this year's team, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's defined by the coaching staff. I think that's the thing that, that's pro football like, knowing your role. And Coach Prime even said, and I think in the last presser, it is not trying to make the players that you have fit into your system. It's making your system work around the players that you have and putting them in that right position. And that's what we've seen. We talked about it earlier. We heard them say that they were going to do it. And now we're seeing the fruits of that and how it happens and what it looks like on the field also. And shout out to Coach Prime, who said, y'all better get me now. He said that last year. He told all of us that last year. You better get me now, dog. This is the worst we're going to be. And he can say that this year too, because I feel like they're only going to get better. These blue chippers, these highly sought after, these highly rated recruits. I know a lot of long timers. I know a lot of guys might not believe it, but they're going to come. And like you said, the influx of people coming that moved there, they had to learn about it first. They had to find out about it first. A hidden gem is it's still a gem. It's just hidden. And that's what Colorado is. And I think once these kids continue to see it, like Juju Lewis, Carday Smith, and so on, parents are going to connect with Coach Prime. Like the father, Juju Lewis' father is heavy in his life. I think that connection with Coach Prime is not to be something looked over. So sorry for my long rant. I just think that this is set up perfectly for Coach Prime to do exactly what he wants to do, and that is win a lot of football games in college, on the college level, not the pro level, in college football.
Yeah, they've done a good job of getting talented players, obviously, since Coach Prime got to Boulder. But there have been some other guys you kind of sense that there was this wait and see kind of mentality with them, and they wanted to see the wins come. And now that those are coming, I think you used the word floodgates. I think you're going to see the level of recruiting this winter be on a different level. And that should be fun for all of us to follow along with. But they're going to have some gaps, obviously, starting with quarterback. But to be in Colorado's position with Deion Sanders at the helm, that's that's as good an opportunity to kind of rebuild the roster that we just haven't seen at Colorado. We always, I'm sure you've heard this a lot, Chico, is people referring back to 2016 when they won 10 games, and there was a lot of NFL talent on that team, but Mike McIntyre was more of a program builder, and he built it. It took a while, and they finally had that magical season, but they just weren't able to build on that from that point forward. This is a different scenario here in 2024 with Coach Prime and his staff's ability to recruit. So, Juju Lewis might commit, and I still think he might want to go to the portal and get a quarterback too, because that is such a vital position. And it's been fun to have some of these recruits that you knew loved CU before, and now they're kind of thinking, okay, let me rethink this decision a little bit. It really is going to be flip season here in the next few weeks. It's going to be an early signing day this year. I think it's the first week in December now, as opposed to a little bit later in the month. So it's really going to come together in a short period of time, and then you're going to hit that transfer portal window around the holidays. So it's going to be a full bore going forward in terms of this roster rebuild.
Most definitely during the holidays, and like we experienced last year, it's a full year news cycle with Coach Prime being there at Colorado, and with Shedeur Sanders and Travis, expected to leave going into the draft, and a host of others, like you said. If we can get those big time recruits, which I think they're coming, it's just a matter of how they're going to announce it. As we saw last year, Coach Prime just don't do it any type of way. He does it strategically with Jordan Seaton and such. So I think it's going to be the same MO this year. Same thing this year with whether it's Julian Lewis or another quarterback or another highly rated defensive lineman. I think those guys are coming too. Just like the quarterbacks, I think the defensive linemen see what Coach Sapp and Coach D. Lewis has done on that defensive line, and I think they see the opportunity and they're coming.
Yeah, and having a couple coordinators that have established themselves too puts it on a different level than we were a year ago too, when they were still trying to figure that out.
All right, guys, we got some questions in here. Let us know. I got some. Like I said, I was sitting outside. Here come the blowers. Here come the blowers. But if that gets too loud, y'all let me know in the background. I'll turn it down. But any questions, let us know out there. Adam, anything you want to add, man? Let us know from the inside of the pressers that we see going on. I'll ask you this. What's the room been like now, once again, with the winning Coach Prime and the winning ball club now and getting these wins and W's in the column? How has that been post game with Coach Prime and with these other coaches and players and getting to know them?
Definitely a lot more smiles. I think that's one thing that sometimes folks out there think that media just wants to be negative. I would say in that room, you're talking about 80 to 90% of people that really enjoy covering a winning program and have no ill will towards anything that's happened in Boulder. With this current staff or prior to that, you're just always going to have, a couple guys that have a different agenda for whatever reason. And it's so nice when you get to talk to players after they win a game, because when they lose, you can tell that their heart just got ripped out, right? It's not a fun thing to say what happened out there, what went wrong. So that's been good. And covering these road trips, especially like I'm looking at going to Lubbock. I think I'm just going to drive because there's no real easy way to get down there. It takes a while to get down there. And so to have those trips turn into, a fun event and a lot of positivity, that is always nice. I was just looking, Chico, I got a question for you. I'm going to be driving through Amarillo to get to Lubbock, and there's a place in Amarillo called the Big Texan Steak Ranch. They are the home of the 72-ounce steak. If you eat the 72-ounce steak, you get your meal for free. Could you eat a 72-ounce steak?
Nah, dog. And not a Texas 72 ounce either. A Texas 72 ounce is something different from what I've seen. And I think I've eaten at one of those steakhouses like on the side of the road there. And it was some of the best steak and brisket I've ever had. So if you see signs that say Odessa or San Angelo, that's where I was right there, not far from Lubbock, Texas.
Okay. So don't go for the 72 ouncer is what you're telling me.
Man,
I'm gonna have to drive a couple hours after that too. I don't know if that would be a good idea.
Man, you're gonna have some friends with you. You're gonna be taking that home in the bag right there. That's gonna be to-go steak for a few days.
But then it's not free if I don't eat it all. That's the problem right there.
Oh no, you definitely gonna be paying for it. You're not gonna eat all that. 72 ounces? What? You're gonna have to be on some of that Snoop Dogg right there. Have some munchies for real, like college days, to eat some of that. Eat all of that. Dang.
I think I could do prime rib because it's kind of less tough than steak.
I don't think I could do 72 ounces of anything. That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a big steak. But I know they have some of the best brisket in the world out there in West Texas. So shout out to San Angelo once again, and Odessa, Texas, and Midland, Texas also, Amarillo, and all those places in between. You feel me? Let me see here. Let me see. Over 4 pounds, Liberty said. Over 4 pounds of steak?
Ooh.
Man, how you gonna digest that?
Yeah, that might be a trip to the ER later, huh?
You asking for it, man. I'll just go ahead and pay for that one. I'll pay for it up front too. Give me my money back if I eat it. Like, nah, just going home. Let me see. I had a couple of things written down here. And it said negativity to Coach Prime and CU. We've seen the overall numbers reportedly going down as far as the viewership across the board for Colorado games compared to this time last year. I think the highest viewed game was Nebraska at like 5.9 million. Do you think that's because they're winning now? That less people are actually watching? Do you think is that many people wants to watch Colorado lose rather than win? Or do you think it was just the hype was just so big last year? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
That makes me sad to think that many people would be hate watching a football team. Come on, you got nothing better to do with your time. I don't know. What does the late kickoffs, does that have something to do with it as well? Because I don't think you got CU on at a lot of bars, but does that get counted the same? That if you're playing at 1:30 in the afternoon or in that later afternoon time slot. So I don't know. I want to compare Colorado to, and let's be honest, some of the opponents recently have not been all that marquee either. So I think that kind of plays into it a little bit.
Wasn't the Colorado State game late last year though, and that was one of the highest viewed games last year? I wonder. I really wonder what it is though. I don't know. What is it? Winning and people just like to see people lose, or is it something about the hype? I don't know.
Well, the Colorado State game was what, a Friday night game? I think sometimes those late night windows on Friday get more viewers, if memory serves. But if you look across the Big 12, the ratings just in general are awful. There's just not as much intrigue with this conference as there is with the Big 10 and SEC here in 2024. Colorado, on some level, even though their ratings might be a little bit down from last year, I mean, they're still really carrying this conference in terms of ratings.
Oh, yeah. Now, compared to everybody else, they're still up there. They're still heads above everybody else. It's just that, compared to last year, it's kind of below. And I just saw an article on that, and I was wondering, how could that be? And I wonder why. And I said to myself, is it because they're winning? Southside D said, it was the drama last year behind the games like Colorado State. It was some drama this year, like unbelievable drama with the Hail Mary, right? That's not drama. I don't know what is. What are your thoughts on?
They want the tabloid drama, I think, right?
Okay. Well,
yeah.
No, we're not going for that. We're going for wins this year. Y'all can have the tabloids and stuff. We're going for them dubs, baby. We're gonna be like Jameis Winston. K Miller. What are your thoughts on Tyler Brown taking reps with the D-line? Logged on late in case you already discussed it. Appreciate you logging on, K Miller. I saw somebody else mention that in the chat. I haven't seen it yet. I did see it last year or in the spring where Tyler was at defensive tackle, but it was last year. It was because he wasn't eligible, so he was on scout team, giving them a look on the defensive line. Now, if Tyler Brown, who's been playing very well at the left guard position these last few games, if he's taking snaps at defensive tackle, one, I don't see anything too much wrong with that, other than and I would say it's probably because Tarion Carter is out, defensive tackle. Maybe they need some more depth over there. Maybe they're looking for a couple guys to plug up and plug in on goal line situations. We saw Amari McNeil do a great job in plugging and getting that 4th and 1 stop. I also asked the question, a guy like BJ Green, who's considered a pass rusher, we've seen him line up inside in short yardage situations. I'm not sure if that's by design or is that because some of the D tackles are hurt, or if that's the reason why we now see Tyler Brown lining up and taking some snaps at defensive tackle. I'm not sure. I'll look into it. What you think, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, as an emergency option, that wouldn't be a bad situation there, especially when you have the linebacker talent that Colorado does. You know, you tell Tyler Brown, just take up some blockers. Let those guys do their job. You know, it is a tough transition for most offensive linemen to go to the defensive line because, you know, typically those guys are better athletes, and this is something that William Gardner.
Whoa! You don't want to hear no offensive lineman hear you say that. Say it again so they can hear you.
Well,
what you say?
Generally, defensive linemen are more athletic than offensive linemen. Now, the offensive linemen usually have the IQ advantage there, and this is
okay.
Big picture wise, not picking out specific players, but Tyler Brown seems like a pretty athletic guy. You know, if there's a guy that you could see kind of making that move to be able to again plug up some tackles. But come on, Chico, you know that's known.
Hey man, I played on both sides of it, but most of them I was over there with the offensive linemen, so they were like big brothers all the time. They grab you by the shoulder like this, you're gonna listen to what they say, you know. You're like, all right, like Big George Hageman. I was at the on the sidelines, and Big George Hageman, who helps with the offensive line too. I just felt like a big shadow came across me. I said, damn, it's getting dark out here.
I've ever seen, yeah.
And I have one question for him. I can't wait to ask. I have it programmed in my head, but as I was standing on the sideline, like I said, a shadow came across, and I thought, damn, it's about to storm. Damn. I told him it was Big George standing behind me. I said, damn. But I have one question for him that I didn't get to ask that I will ask him. Has he ever looked at anyone else and said, man, that's a big fella? Like, has he ever seen somebody and said that, ooh, he big? Because I can't see it. Like, who you look at, Shaq, and say he's big? Other than that, that's a big human being right there.
Yeah, it's not just the height, obviously. It's just the whole package. Every square inch of that human being is on a different level of big. And what a great role for him to be in, right? Because he's a mentor for these guys in the program, and they're not going to talk to him sideways.
Hey, exactly. And to go back on that Tyler Brown situation, I think somebody said, I think he is strong enough to play that. And Kay Miller did say this. She said, Cokes is hurt. Have you heard about what happened with Shane Cokes? I didn't get a word yet about anything. So have you heard anything about Shane Cokes being hurt?
Well, I have not heard that. Nope.
Okay. Well, maybe it's revealed in the Willoff video today. We'll see. But if Shane Cokes is hurt or down, oh man. That's a what? Cokes, Tarion Carter is down. Is there anyone else that I haven't seen? Ryan Buell.
He's been out for a while. Yeah,
he's been out for a while. So now we have, I'm sure, Amari McNeil, Anquan Barnes, Chidozie is back. So at least we have those three I can call out the top of my head right now. And Shane being hurt, and I can see Tyler coming over for a few reps in short yardage situations that can help us out.
People don't like my comments about the O-line not being as athletic as defensive linemen.
I thought that
was a pretty general, general accepted philosophy on football players. But
yeah, you're right. It's pretty general as far as what people. That's the consensus. I guess people would say that D linemen are more athletic. Offensive linemen are usually smarter, and that's what Adam said. So he came back for the offensive lineman. He got your backs. you know, you guys end up being doctors and surgeons and stuff, while defensive linemen are, yeah. Do y'all agree that CU is the best conditioned team whenever they play? Travis mentioned recently how much better shape they were in than UCF. Interesting.
Yeah, they've done a great job in terms of conditioning, and I think you just have to point to what they've been doing in the second half of games this year, and that's the best type of way to really highlight the work that Marie Sims and his staff have done. You know, they're really smart about it too. They kind of know when to pull off the gas pedal a little bit, I think, and give guys their body time to heal. But when they go, and I like the philosophy, and this goes to practice too, of under Coach Prime. It's we're not going to maybe practice as many hours as some teams, but when we go, we're going to replicate game speed. And that's something that I think sometimes if you allow guys to go at 85%, that sometimes becomes kind of their muscle memory a little bit.
Right. You're right about
that. Some
that.
big issues, you know? And so I really like the way that they kind of attack going really hard, but you know, also, you know, this week during the bye week, they're going to get some time off. And I think, you know, some coaches kind of forget the fact that, you know, these kids, they're working a full-time job basically here as a Colorado football program. And yeah, you got to have that time to kind of reset a little bit.
Right. I like seeing this from Coach Mo's Instagram. You see these guys still in that weight room, and a lot of people question and ask, do they still lift weights during the season, or why do they need to lift during the season if it's game going on? Yeah, you got to stay strong. You got to stay conditioned. You got to keep your muscles ready to go and fired and ready to go. And that's what this is, them being in the weight room during this time right here to stay strong. Everybody who doesn't have an injury, you'll see them in the weight room getting it in. And the guys who have injuries, they're going to be in that training room trying to get some treatment and everything done to them, whether it's massages, stem, ice, cold tub, hot tub. You need to try to recover as best you can. And actually lifting these weights and going through stuff like this, you see big Cardell Thomas and I think that was Brandon Hood right there going through these type of drills right here just to stay right. And you also see the red shirt guys really going through these drills also. And I think that's huge to keeping them boys upright and ready to go in the best shape once the game comes back around.
Well, I don't know how it was when you were a player, but kind of what I've experienced, a lot of time you're kind of maintaining your strength throughout the season, and then the off season is kind of when you get you try to really test yourself to get those maxes.
Yes, exactly, because you can, and this is a true statement too, and a kind of like a cliche saying, but you can easily lose your strength, you know. So you have to always maintain. You know, I'm a prime example of that. Like it's hard to get back in shape, but so it's best for you to maintain and stay in shape. I remember learning what the word maintain meant when I was in the gym as a youngster, and myself and my cousin was in the gym, and someone came in. I think it was his stepdad. He said, you got one guy in here trying to lose some, one guy trying to gain some, and he pointed at me and said he's trying to maintain some. And I remember being a little kid. I said, what is maintain? You know, he said, you trying to stay strong and, you know, stay as you are, basically. And that's what the guys are trying to do right now. And that's maintain that strength, not lose any strength. And then in the off season, try to build on that, just like you said, Adam.
Yeah.
That was O on the scooter, right? Yeah. Omarion Miller is out for the season. He's on that scooter. He had surgery already on that lower leg. We should see him back, hopefully, in the spring. So we got about a few minutes left on here. We've been on here a good little while. Maybe we can answer a few more questions if they come in. Any super chats, we will read them off for sure. Adam, I know you put out tweets just like you know, all the other journalists who really cover Colorado. Any stats that stand out to you that you might have tweeted out this week or anything like that? I know I have one right here I could pull up. Let me see. And it's from Shadur Sanders.
One to throw out while you're looking for that.
Okay.
Is I did a story on Robert Livingston, and it really struck me when I looked this up. Is I knew they gave up a lot of points last year, but they gave up an average of 34.8 points per game last season. They have yet to give up more than 31 in any game this year. That's a pretty incredible turnaround.
That's huge. And
they're only giving up an average of 22 points a game overall.
22 points a game.
We got you on mute there, Chico.
Okay. Am I on mute?
We lost you.
Test. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Adam? Let me see here. Man, that's it. Stay right there. Not there. All right. So what we're going to do now is basically, if Adam can hear me, can you hear me, Adam?
It wouldn't be a Buff 'em updates if we didn't have some type of technical difficulties.
All right. Well, at the end of the day, Kay Miller said she could hear me. I don't know if Adam can hear me or not, but at the end of the day,
now I got you. I got you now.
All right. So yeah,
that might have been on my end.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, I'm starting to now feel this heat out here, this humidity out here. I'm going to take it inside. But we have more to come. Y'all stay tuned, man. This has been a bi-week edition of Buff 'em Updates with myself and Adam Munster Tiger from 24/7 Sports. How do you say it correctly? 247 or 24/7?
24/7, but it seems like more people call it 247. So I guess you got to roll with whatever people want to call it. But yeah, it's kind of building off the 24/7, 365 moniker. So yeah.
Gotcha. That's what I thought. Radio Pastor said, enjoyed the insight, Adam, the Munster Tiger. Great commentary, BDC. Much success. We appreciate your Radio Pastor and everybody else checking in with us and staying true to the Buff 'em Updates. Got a lot of people asking us what happened to it. A lot of people like to see us on here together doing our thing. So we're going to continue to bring it to you guys.
Yeah, we got to get you, Chico, out to another game and we can maybe do something in person. It's so crazy. We've been trying to do that, I think, before all these games, and there's just so much going on. But no, it's been too long since our last show. This was
I want to give a shout out to you too. Everybody, check out Uncle Neely's video now in the pressers. He now turns the cameras on you guys. I'm gonna ask you, how do you feel about that too? Now that it's kind of like you guys are now from behind the camera, and that wall has been broken with what Uncle Neely is doing in the pregame show. Now you guys, there's faces with these questions now. Has that changed anything in your job, or how does it feel, overall by seeing that?
Well, it's interesting because John Embry coached at Colorado, 13 years ago now. And I was talking with him about his experience being on Hard Knocks because he was the tight ends coach for Tony Gonzalez with the Kansas City Chiefs. And he said, it's hard to believe, but once you get used to these cameras being around, you kind of forget they're there and you just kind of go about your business the way you did before. And I'll be honest, the first few press conferences, it was kind of sensory overload covering the Coach Prime Buffs because it was just so different. Yeah. But you get used to it over time, and it's always nice having Neely in there providing a different angle of things. And so, if you ask a stupid question, I guess now your face gets to go along with it too, which is probably the way it should be, right? So, sometimes I forget that there's all these cameras around because you're there to do a job, and so you go about it, and but the Prime documentary guys are always around, and a bunch of great guys, and so it's just kind of the new norm now around CU.
That's pretty cool, man. You see, all of you guys now have. I don't know if it was like that before, but and you see journalists now, they're not just taking notes or writing or typing, they're filming also. That's very important nowadays to, this video journalism, I guess you could say. How has that been to kind of add to your repertoire or just more things now that you have to control of or to kind of deal with? How has that been?
Well, I was the first one that started doing that with Coach Media scrums at CU. And now, it's pretty much everybody's got their phone out there. So, it takes away from my views a little bit. So that part of it I don't like. No, it's the new age, right? And fans want to feel connected to their favorite program. And so I think having the access, not just with what the traditional media is doing, but with Bucky and Darius and Neely as well, that you make fans feel like they're so much closer to the program now than was the case before Coach Prime got to Boulder. And, you know, the thing is, I think sometimes not this staff, but some coaches forget that, hey, if it wasn't for the fans, they wouldn't have a gig. They wouldn't be making the money they are. And then the same goes for media too. You know, it's like if no one's reading our stuff or following our stuff on YouTube and watching our video content, then we don't have a job. So it's fun to kind of be that bridge, I think, between a program and help give fans more of an insight. And so that's the way it should be. It's kind of sad to see you look across the country and they're just more closed off now with media than even they used to be. And maybe part of that is the video stuff. They don't want certain stuff getting out and not having control over it. But again, it goes back to the point that the fans are why we get to do this for a living. So I think it's awesome.
I think it's awesome also, man. And you guys have been doing a good job from what I've been seeing. For the most part, as Coach Prime would say, most of y'all though, because some of y'all be here. Some of y'all don't believe Jack Diddley. But that's fine though. I feel like it's good to have, you know, some of those in the room. I feel like it's good to have some who might not believe and still hide their hand or whatever, so to speak. You know, bring them all because we want them all to witness what's going on. We want them all to witness this man sitting here telling you guys, you better get me now, and we're going to be better next year. And then here comes next year, and they're exactly what he's saying they are. And you have some that just can't believe it, and that's fine, you know. But I'm here to ride along with it and watch it out and help facilitate it as these wins come about, and we get to, you know, celebrate in these bowl games and celebrate with these kids that's coming in and praise them and hold them up on a pedestal as they should be. You know, when I was a player, you know, it was a lot of none of this. You know, I wish it was. And when you see guys and you meet guys and you kind of get connected to them, or you have a Cameron Silman Craig looking at you and you're speaking to him and he says yes sir to you, you're like, damn, this is a good guy. You know, not that I'm not going to critique him or talk about him like anything else, but you understand these kids personally, and you know that they're out for good, and you want to see good for them at the end of the day. I know I went on a rant once again. Let me see. Oh, now Chico. Their job is always to improve the team. I think those QBs are cool, but not elite. Oh, there was a question about this. Probably be the last question, guys. I know Adam got to go, and I got to go too. But when recruiting, like say for instance, you know, you're recruiting a top quarterback, do you think that says something negative to the guys you have on the roster already? Like if I'm recruiting a top quarterback, do you think that's giving a word to my quarterbacks who are currently on the roster saying that you're not good enough or we don't want you or whatever it is? Do you think it's anything negative by going after a top tier quarterback or a top tier player at any position?
No, especially a quarterback, I think you got to take one a year out of the high school ranks, you know, in terms of a typical basis. Yeah, the coaches always say this, that and I like when they are transparent, like the current staff at Colorado is, of we are recruiting to replace you. So don't allow us to do that, you know. And the guys like Vonta Bentley that, you know, see Juwan Mitchell go in there and decide that that's just going to catapult them and make them even hungrier as opposed to sulking. Those are the guys that rise to the top. And so especially the way that Colorado is designed right now, it is such a competitive nature. And, you know, a Tyler Johnson comes in with a great resume, and I don't mean to just pick on him, but he didn't put in the work to, you know, be a starting offensive lineman on this team. Last year, Cormani McLean came in and didn't have the work ethic. And I think it's much worse for your program if guys like that can get away with it versus you're going the complete opposite way of saying we are going to keep recruiting at every position, and you better find a way to beat that player out when they get on campus. And that's what creates a winning culture. And what we've seen, you know, take place here in less than 2 years in Boulder is weeding out the guys that don't have that right mindset, because they've had to do that. And the guys that have had that right mindset are the ones that are being rewarded right now and are going to be a big part of this team down the stretch, having a lot of success.
I think you said that perfectly, and we can end on that. That was greatly said, because you're going to do worse for your team by allowing those guys to be there who are not working for and earning the spot that they eventually end up in. So, much success to anybody who came through the program, who left, who's not there anymore, but even more success to the guys that's there and who's putting in the work and who's stuck around. I'm not sure about this news right here. On-3 fired Dukes. They suck. They suck, bro. We know Philip Dukes came to Colorado this past weekend. We know he's been putting out some supportive and positive comments and words on Coach Prime and the Colorado whole football team and whole just the university and the whole atmosphere and everything. If that's, should I ask you? I don't know if I should even ask you about this. I don't want to get you in trouble or nothing like that. But let's just say, shout out to Philip Dukes, and if you want to comment on that, you can. But I'm not going to try to put anybody in back against the wall.
Coach Prime did address it on social media today.
Yeah, I saw that. And I could pull that up, but I'm not sure, because I know that when working with these entities and companies and stuff, there are some things you can say. You don't want to step on any shoes. You know what I mean? So I don't want to also, put people in a position to have to by asking them a question about it. So I just say, if you wanted to comment on what Philip Dukes has done, you can.
Well, hopefully he
or I'm sorry, or on what has been on public social media account right now that I could pull up.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can comment on there. I don't know what the deal is there. I thought he was doing a good job for them. They're the competitor though, so I know some folks over at On3, but I don't know kind of the dynamics. They have a little bit of a different kind of philosophy going at things than 24/7 Sports does. But
well, hey, to just separate you guys, let us know about 247 Sports.
We're the best, Chico.
Well, that's all y'all need to know out there, man. 247 Sports. Shout out to you guys. And y'all know what to do, man. Hit the like, subscribe, comment, all the other good stuff to tune in for more Buffum updates from myself, Big Dog Chico, and the main man, Adam Mustard Tiger, who's been covering the Buffs 21 years. He's in his prime year. So y'all show him some love when you see him out there. Y'all know what to do, man. We up and about this thing. Peace in the Middle East. Adam, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Already. All right, we out.